So Krishna consciousness, bhakti yoga, is doing what naturally is your talent. That it's nice, it's not artificial. So I was taught photography, and I was the first photographer. And Prabhupada was so nice, he just let me photograph even up close. And his expressions were so nice that they changed markedly. And so I photographed him a lot. So one day I was photographing him, and he says, there's a superstition in India that if someone's photographed, their life will be shortened. So when he said that, I stopped. And then he said, what do you think of that, Gurudas ji? And I said, well, it's not how long we live, Swamiji, it's what we do with our life that's important. And then he smiled on me like a very smart pupil. And he said, that's just a superstition. He was teasing me. Another story, Samarshunda, I told you when he carved the Jagannath deities in San Francisco, the first Ratha Yatra of all the world, I told him, please do it slowly because the New York devotees wanted Swamiji back. So he was doing it slowly, and Swamiji came a half a mile and speeded him up. Later, in Bury Place, where we were yesterday, at the finishing time, Prabhupada moved into the room on the first floor above the temple. And Samarshunda said, Prabhupada, is my hammering disturbing you? Immediately, Prabhupada came back. He said, no, when I hear you hammering, I know you're working. It reminded me of Pope John the 23rd, who I really liked. He was the ecumenical pope. They said, how many people are working in the Vatican? He said, oh, about half of them. So it's that same kind of witty comment. And so Bury Place was open, and even during the inauguration ceremony, the altar was too heavy, and Prabhupada and I had to hold the altar up. There was a fire sacrifice going on in the temple, and I had to indicate to some people, come help, keep the altar up. And then Samarshunda was sleeping because he worked for 3 days. We woke him up, and then he secured it. But even the Ratha Yatra car collapsed. The first year was higher than the wires, so it couldn't get to Marble Arch. The next year, we pushed it from Balam. Mukunda, myself, and Ramatanu pushed it with the little red pickup truck, pulling it. And when it got to Marble Arch, it collapsed. I wrote to Prabhupada. Usually the letter was, he'd write back, very formal. He's from the past age, past century. I've noted the contents of your such and such letter, your dated letter, and then he signed it, your ever well-wisher. I was so distraught, I said, the card collapsed due to my poor devotion. He said, I've noted your undated, unsigned letter. I just trailed off. I've noted your undated, unsigned letter. It is not due to poor devotion, it's due to poor engineering. There's different rasas or relationships we have with Krishna and also with our guru and each other. So one is friendship, one is parental, one is like somebody else is the guru or the mentor or the parent. So I had all these relationships with Prabhupada. So sometimes we would write a great letter to Indira Gandhi or something, and very humbly said, is that all right? And it was definitely all right. And a couple of times he was putting on a sweater, and I pulled it down for him, and he just stood there like my little son. And most of the time, though, I think our relationship was, certainly he was guru, but also very friendly. We had a very friendly relationship, and because I let him set the mood, whatever it would, silence. He said silence. Full bowl is silent, empty bowl makes the most sound. It's a nice adage. While we were in India, India was very special. We get there, and there was a doctor who saw us on television in London. And he said, "Oh, I saw you on television in London, both of you, and now you're in my clinic. Isn't it a small world?" And Prabhupada says, "Yes, it's insignificant." He's on the transcendental plane. Then there was the Indian-Pakistan war, and everybody was covering the windows. And Prabhupada didn't cover the windows. He always did different, because he was transcendental. So ad hoc committee comes and says, "Swamiji, why aren't you covering the windows?" And he said, "Well, you can't even control your toothache or your stomach ache." In other words, we're not the controller. But they said, "But what if the bomb should come?" And I was standing up because I wanted to make sure everybody had water and everything. I was standing up. And they said, "What if the bomb should come?" And Prabhupada looked up and said, "Then I would see the bomb as Krishna." And the Lakota Native Americans say it's a good day to die. So we should use every moment fully, consciously. We don't know when we're going to go. But this was Prabhupada's point. Then I would see the bomb as Krishna.